Welcome back to the Wellness Edit, where we explore natural mental health, emotional wellness, and whole body healing for everyday people and their families. I am Dr. Donna, and today we're going to discuss a topic that so many people care very deeply about, and that is raising children in today's very overwhelming world. We are especially going to focus on a few things today: holistic wellness for children, support for parents navigating ADHD, plus autism, and helping families with children who are immune compromised or maybe they're facing some other ongoing health challenges. So joining us today is Dr. Dee Cox, founder of Peacox Learning Solutions and Peacox Childcare in Central Ohio. Now, Dr. Dee has dedicated her work to supporting children and families through education, through childcare, emotional support, and wellness-centered approaches. Dr. Cox, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you so much for having me. I am a teacher licensed in the state of Ohio, pre-K through 5. I spent most of my years teaching in the inner city school system in one of the largest school districts in the country. And I'm very passionate. Ended up in middle school, and I was sold. So I spent over a decade teaching inner city school children, and I am very passionate about not only helping children, but helping their families support them in a holistic way, not just academics, but emotional support as well as nutrition. And I'm very excited to talk about some personal experiences as well as professional experiences.
Can't wait to hear it. Well, when people hear the phrase holistic wellness for children, what does that mean to you?
Holistic wellness for children means a comprehensive approach to helping children navigate life and achieve self actualization. So it not only means helping them academically, but also helping them physically and a natural sense of what they put into their bodies and how they digest their food and how
Mm.
they learn and how they self regulate and different things like that. So, holistic is very comprehensive in anywhere from 3 to 5 areas.
Yeah, it is. And all the areas are overlapping. It's not easy. What do you think are some of the biggest struggles that you're seeing in the children and the families in the like childcare and educational settings?
Some of the biggest struggles, especially with neurodivergent children, are parents being overwhelmed, not knowing where to get answers, or sometimes not wanting to accept the answers about their children. So, and then once you accept that, then it's what do I do? And sometimes it's just the hopes and the dreams that I thought I had aren't there anymore. So, what
Mhm.
do I do with this, the situation that I have that I'm struggling with?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just being overwhelmed emotionally, sleep deprivation, and feelings of being judged, whether it's on giving their child medication or putting their child in a different setting or just accepting a diagnosis, period.
Yeah, so I can imagine them feeling quite overwhelmed by all of that and having a hard time accepting it. No, this is my child. No, that can't be true, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, how important do you think it is to create emotionally safe environments for kids, and most especially in the childcare settings or the daycare settings?
I think it's very important because, like I said, families are going through so many things at home to where
Okay.
sometimes this is a safe haven for the children. And we
Oh,
deal with several children at one time. So we understand that they don't come in one size fits all. And if I continuously talk about families, it's because I don't really believe you can help a child unless you're able to help their family and their caregiver, the most important person,
mhm.
that they have helping them in this world. So that's why I always go back to families because it's hard to help a child if you're not helping the family. And teaching in the inner city school system taught me that. We would always sit around and say, no matter what we do here, it's home, it's home. And that's the reason why when I was in that setting, I did a lot of work with the children and their families. So at that time, we went house to house. It's not that kind of an environment or climate right now, but we were able to speak to parents and talk to families, encourage families to participate. The National Honor Society, we would encourage them to go out with us and feed the homeless, and they did. A lot of parents did, and they were very happy for that experience. So
That's amazing.
supporting children is really supporting their families. And some of the things that we do is just offer those family opportunities and activities to come and join their children. And we even gave out mindful thinking where they can use those activities at home with their children just to give emotional support and
Yeah.
regulate not just their mind, but their bodies.
I think that's pretty awesome, and I think you're a little bit out of the ordinary in going so far to help support the whole family unit. I know some parents I used to work with kids as well, but in a different setting, but I would say that some parents are not willing to step in and be part of the solution. So, I think what you're doing is awesome. You get a good showing on these things? Do they respond well?
Yes, I am in a different setting than, previously when I worked in the inner city school system, but some of my experiences, I did have a good showing of parents. When we did National Honor Society, and if you know anything about that, children need volunteer hours to continue on in high school and then to get scholarships. But like I said, we invited parents to come help us fix the lunches for the homeless. They did. We
Yeah.
invited parents to come help us serve. They did. Even if parents were not in a situation mentally, emotionally, sometimes physically, where they could do that, they allowed me to pick their children up and take them with me. So, although they may not have been there due to drug addiction, alcohol addiction, whatever the case may be, they still allowed me to be that for their children. So I appreciate the parents who joined us and physically worked with us, but also the parents who knew they could not or were not able to, but still allowed the child to have that positive influence in their life. In the childcare setting, it's a little different. It's not the public school system, it's not the inner city school system, but I find that parents are very receptive. The planners that we gave to children, summer programming planners with all those mindfulness thinking activities and self-regulation activities, the parent found those very helpful. And sometimes it's not the fact that they're going home and doing it, it's the fact that they know the support is there and they could ask for that support if they needed the support.
Well,
So it goes over very well. As you said, this is not a typical way of thinking. So sometimes you have to explain a lot. I want to help your child, but I know that you are the most important figure in the child's life. So can I help you help your child? It'll cost you nothing. Are you willing to work with me?
I think people have a hard time saying no to you, Dr. G. And finally, how can we support parents with, say, healthy nutrition options for the children in their daily life?
Glad you asked. Here at the Child Care Center, we're part of the federal food program. So we partner with Ohio Department of Education and we have a sponsor and the Children's Hunger Alliance, and we have to provide certain healthy foods, cereal with no more than 6 grams of sugar. So we're making a concerted effort here to provide those healthy options. It's been a work in progress. Now we're purchasing fresh fruits and vegetables a lot more than we were. And although it's more work for us, we feel that it's worth it. And I say it's more work for us in the childcare setting because we have a lot of rules and regulations handed to us by the state. So you
Yeah.
can't just give grapes. You have to cut them. You can't just give bananas. You have to cut them a certain way. You can't just give apples. Those have to be cut a certain way. And so these things, it's not easy all the time, but we're doing it more and more. One of the things that we just completed, which is so wonderful, is we just started a garden. And the fruits and vegetables and other things that we have in that garden will be used to help the families here and families in need in general, but help our families here. The children are participating, they're watering. You asked me how if the parents were receptive. Parent volunteers of an infant mother and father actually built the beds that we have and came up, set it up and everything. And it was just really nice. The children were so excited and they've been watering. We watered today, my child. We watered today. So on the weekends, my children will water, my biological children. And then during the week, the other children at the childcare center, they will water, and it's been going very well. So I believe parents are receptive to what we're doing, and staff members, they're receptive also. So it's been quite an adventure. I even go a step further. I give a lot of snacks to the children, especially in the summer, during summer programming. For example, we had a homestead activity on the 16th of June, so last week on Tuesday, and that's where people come and they set up homestead activities. Because in a world where children are tied to Chromebooks, laptops, tablets, phones, I felt that it would be good for homestead activities. No electronics, no batteries. They teach children how to use a washing board and show them how clothes were washed. Before we had the technology that we have today, they put out wagons. The children play with wagons and they roll each other around in wagons. They put out games like a checker game board, no electronics involved, and they get to play that. They show how to grind grain into meal, just all these different activities. So we usually think of something we can do and send home with the children when we have these activities. So we sent home trail mix for them to put together on their own.
Great.
So we send home Cheerios. They're the plain Cheerios, the ones that are recommended or accepted for the food program, so they don't have a lot of sugar. We sent
They're
home,
whole wheat now too, aren't they? Or some of them are?
I'm sorry?
Aren't some of them whole wheat now?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we can offer whole wheat. We have to have one whole wheat every day with the food program. So we usually do that during breakfast, and ours is whole wheat. That is a heart healthy food. So we use the Cheerios, and we had pretzels, pumpkin seeds, raisins, and then so they were supposed to go home and you just make trail mix to go with the homestead activities. Last year we did ice cream. We made ice cream here at the center and we put them in jars and put it in the freezer. We decided to do something different this year, and we did give a little sweetness to it just to, satisfy the children. But
That'd be a little fun.
yes, it has to be a little fun, but I said all that to say I try to keep the snacks as healthy as possible. So, with it being children, because they get candy from all over. So I
Yeah.
try to buy the fruit snacks that are just all it is fruit. Nothing else added. So
Great.
that's the way I try to keep things healthy and encourage healthy eating. Even from the parents, we give out seaweed, and now the children really, really like it. My child was saying,
Amazing.
"Mommy, can I have the raisins?" And I was thinking, raisins. I said, "Oh, I got to be careful. Don't eat too many." And then my other child was asking for the pumpkin seeds. Nothing on them, just roasted pumpkin seeds. So it's catching on, and the parents, they don't mind. It was a little difficult when I first started in the child care center. I will admit it was difficult for the families. It was difficult for the children. It was difficult for the staff because I did in-home licensed child care for so long.
Okay.
And they taught us you do not serve processed foods. That's one thing they taught us. We were a tight-knit community in that sense. And we had meetings and they said no processed food. So when I came to the child care center, I didn't believe in processed food. So we cook ground beef just raw. We cook it here. We have a level 4 license. We cook chicken, just regular chicken, nothing processed. We cook it here. So it was difficult at first for families. And I even had questions like, what is ground beef? Why aren't we doing chicken nuggets? Well,
Right.
what about the corn dogs? So it was a bit of a shift, but now everybody's used to it. And that's the way we live. But we cut processed foods down. The food program within itself has a restriction on processed foods, but
That's amazing.
we try to cut it down even more.
Yeah, a big news flash. Real food tastes good. Thank you for sharing all that. I want to switch now to supporting kids who have ADHD and or autism. So many parents today are navigating ADHD, autism. They have sensory processing challenges or emotional regulation challenges. And what are some of the frequent struggles that you commonly hear from parents?
So some of the struggles are with, I will be honest with you, immunizations and not knowing what to do or how to approach it because of fear of a child being diagnosed and not knowing if it was from that. The
Mm.
way I support parents is very simple. I use my personal story to support them. I don't place judgment. I let them know that I understand all sides of the coin because myself, I delayed immunizations for all of my
Mm.
children. They were on the delayed track because I didn't want them getting so much in their system
Yeah.
so young. So it took them about a year to 18 months to get caught up. So I can swing the other way and say, absolutely not. Also, so I let parents know that I understand and we will accept their child regardless. We will
Wonderful.
fill out the documentation and we will help them navigate this situation for their child with no judgment because I understand. So I share my personal story about that, but that's a really big issue with some parents and they have anxiety and fear that their child will not be accepted because of this. And
Mhm.
even if by law they feel people have to accept their child, they want to feel emotionally that they're
Right.
not looked upon as different or strange. So I start with that. Another issue that I find in the child care center with parents is not wanting to accept that there is an issue. And I understand that it's hard, but we can't help if we don't accept. And I understand what that feels like because again, my personal story,
Mhm.
and I'm able to let them know that it's okay to get help for your child. My child went to Franklin County Board of Disabilities, age of 2, because of delays in his physical development. So, and I understand it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy in my own home. So I don't want them to feel bad, but they have anxiety. And we can clearly see we do developmental screening here where we refer to Help Me Grow if the child is under 2, and we refer or 2 and under, and we refer to the school district if they're over a certain age.
Mm.
And then we also do formal assessment here. And it's just anxiety with labels, and we can have children who we know need help beyond what we can give them, and the parent is like, "Nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong." And so me telling them my personal story helps a lot because I went through all of that,
Yeah.
even with the one child that ended up at Franklin County Board of Disabilities,
Mm.
and they kept wanting to test him for autism, and I kept saying, "No, he doesn't have anything wrong." And it's I didn't know. It was ignorance, pure
Right.
ignorance on my part.
Lack of
And
knowledge. Mhm.
I can testify to them and share my story with them so that they understand it's okay if you don't know or if you don't understand, get the help. And, I'm not sure. My child's situation may be different now had I had a different attitude about it. And then on the flip side, someone not telling me certain information about my other child could have helped me in a different way. But I didn't have anyone telling me about him. And this is the child that had all the classic symptoms. I just didn't know they were classic symptoms,
Right. Right.
but nobody said anything to me about him. And because I didn't understand autism, I didn't understand ADHD at that time. I think he can read at 3. He's okay. He
Mhm.
can, I taught him multiplication before he went to kindergarten. So I'm thinking he's okay. So me telling parents things like this puts them at ease that you can accept that your child is a child of different abilities. Put it that way. We're all of different abilities. So that doesn't sound too bad. It's just a child of different abilities. And just telling them and letting them know and having experience with family members who the anxiety of just having the label is just very difficult for parents. But
Yeah.
some parents won't even get the label or even let us know, and we know something is wrong. So telling them the story and trying to support them in that way is really good. I wish I had known more about ADHD and autism, but I didn't. So I didn't even see the signs for my child. Someone had to tell me, a clinician had to tell me, I think you may need to get an autism screening. I
Mhm.
think that will be a good idea. And of course, again, I was like, no, and I had to sit with myself and I had to really think about it. And I had to say, oh, well, maybe. And then another clinician that
Mhm.
they sent us to said it again. And I had to sit with myself and I had to realize that the child that this never came about when he was in school, this is my child who's displaying classical symptoms. And it's no fun to sit with that, but sometimes you have to get to a certain point to know I cannot deal with this on my own and I don't know
That's
what
right.
to do. So if I need help, I'm going to seek out help. And
That's what you did. That's exactly what you did, and now it's all different because of that, so
yeah,
to the good. Dr. D, how do you think parents can support kids both naturally and holistically alongside traditional therapies and educational supports? How can we combine them or integrate them?
comprehensive care, having a holistic approach, knowing that one will not take care of the issue, especially if it's a processing issue. It's not going to be diet alone. And I know because I'm in it. I'm not out of it. I'm actually in it. And my child was diagnosed as a teenager. So it's not easy. It's not easy when they're 3, 4, and 5, and they're just in pre-K and kindergarten. It's a little bit easier, but it's not a one thing is going to change it. I know it's not medication. If you think it's just medication and that's going to do it, it's not. It's going to take for a lot of people, I will say, for children truly displaying several things that impair their ability to function on their chronological age level, emotionally, all of these things, it's going to take all of it. It may take diet, counseling, some form of medication, whether it's natural or whatever the parent chooses. And sometimes as a parent, I mean, you have to go through the gamut to realize it may not work. And if stimulants aren't going to work, you might as well go holistically. And I guarantee for my case, stimulants, no,
But
it's
it's
a
not gonna hurt
combination.
any child to eat healthier, right?
Exactly.
Maybe take a few kid vitamins, you know?
The combination. It's a combination, and I'm still
Yes.
in it, so I'm not on the other side of it, so I can't, speak from all angles of knowledge because I don't know, because I'm in it, and I just know for me holistically and with even with medication and all kinds of other things, it's just you have to try to see what works. And if you are on that holistic, no stimulant path, it's going to take a lot of it. And even if you're on a stimulant path, that's not going to do it alone,
Right, right.
especially when your child is displaying a lot of symptoms.
Dr. D, what are some small daily habits that you think can make a difference for neurodivergent children? What do you think?
Small habits, the caregiver working on self regulation. That's one thing that's going to help that child. The caregivers learning to prime the child before going from one activity to the next activity. That's going to help. Teaching the child mindfulness, appropriateness in certain settings is going to help the child. Diet, of course, if you're dealing with children who are just overstimulated, refined sugar is not going to help. Soda, different things like that will not help them. It's only going to make that worse because those are things that naturally get children going. Teaching them, we have meditation, a form of meditation, calming your bodies, listening, following directions, being mindful of the classrooms around you because we're in an open environment in this childcare center. We do that every morning. And positive affirmations. You are enough. You deserve to be loved. You
Mm.
deserve another chance and another opportunity. We listen to those and those are the things that we do, and the children enjoy when those come on in the morning. They cheer and they're happy. As soon as I get on and I say happy Thursday, they are really excited. I started singing Happy Thursday. These are all things that you can do to help children. I
Right.
started singing Happy Thursday like the birthday song, Happy Thursday to you. Happy Thursday to whatever day it is. And they just cheer and clap. But it's just letting them know that it's okay. What I used to tell my fifth graders, and I use this with neurodivergent children also, children struggling with self control and impulsiveness also, do your best. If you do your best, there's no more anyone can ask of you. Do your best. Now you have to sit and say, was that my best? If it wasn't your best, let's think of what we could do so you can present your best. But that's what I used to always tell my fifth graders. And as you know, middle school, we have fifth grade in middle school, and our middle
Challenge
school was
engaged.
fifth through eighth. And I would always
But
tell them, do
yeah.
your best. And
Mhm.
if you do your best, that's all anyone can ask of you. And with neurodivergent children, their best may look different from another child's best. So those are some of the things that I give to them to help them understand and know that it's okay. We just have to keep on this journey of, in a sense, of recovering from what is keeping us in a different category. And it's
Right, right.
okay.
Yes. Yes. So I really wish that you'd been my teacher. Okay. Now, how have you changed your family's meals on a more personal level to accommodate your neurodivergent child who has those multiple diagnoses?
Yeah, so I started cooking with less white sugar and using maple
Perfect.
syrup, 100 maple syrup, using honey to sweeten, and just getting them used to different recipes that they can use to even make cake, to make bread, to make
Mm.
brownies, using cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, all different kinds of things to help them. I got turned on to almond flour. I got turned on to so many different things by Dr. P. Dr. P, you have turned me
That's
on to
neat.
so many different things. It's been wonderful. And now my children are excited about eating things out of the garden. So that's how I've changed it. Now we can actually go, once we get these fruits and vegetables, we can go to the garden and pick things to eat from the garden. So we've just learned so much and it's changed it for them. And I'm so excited because they can live that way when they become an adult because they've been introduced to it. They've
Yeah.
eaten it at home
Yes.
and different things like that. Now they're into fruit drinks. They want to make drinks with real fruit. And
Wonderful.
we don't have soda in our home anyway, but they want to make drinks with real fruit. That's the thing now. So we have a blender and we get things and they give me requests and they want a mango. Mango was the thing a couple of weeks ago. Now it's peaches. So
Yeah.
just changing the vocabulary in what they eat. They still get other things, it's just not from me. They still get other
Right.
things. They ride the bus, they come home from the bus, and I'm like, "Where did you get all that candy?" So they get it. So that's when I decided, you know what, I need to make a conscientious decision to do things differently at home, and I need to be more mindful about what we cook at home, and I also need to be more intentional about what we're serving and what we're cooking. So we've tried some different things. We've even tried spaghetti sauce and we bought tomatoes, which we're going to get them out the garden when they're in the garden. They'll be there soon. But we bought tomatoes and we put them in the pan, we peeled them, and we made our tomato sauce that way. Just teaching them life skills. I want them to have skills that they can transfer into adulthood and also give to their children. So we've tried a lot of different recipes. Some of work, some of them not so well, and it's just because it's not like I'm going to a class, so I'm just learning from trial and error.
That's the best way. You know, the term from farm to table, I mean, you literally are doing that or will be doing it even more as the garden grows. And, having studied a lot about nutrition, you get the maximum impact from the nutrients that are in the fruits and vegetables when you take them from the plant directly. They have maximum nutrients. So you're creating very nutrient dense foods, and that's very exciting for me.
And we're working another garden project and I came up with another name and I'm like, okay, I think I want because we know about from farm to table and I was like, okay, from plant to plate.
Love it.
Directly from the
Love it.
plant straight to your plate. So we're thinking about doing some really creative things, even with the cucumbers, we're thinking about pickling, we're thinking about just things that even help with digestion, things that we're thinking about so many different things. They're excited and I'm excited for them.
Yeah, you can make a really good tonics, like in the wintertime when everybody starts catching the flu and colds.
Yes.
You can make very good herbal tonics out of vegetables and herbs and things. That's exciting. Another question, another personal question. How have you approached medication options for your child, if you don't mind sharing?
Yes. Oh my goodness, it's so in depth and personal. So because thank goodness My children have a mother and a father at home, always have. It's always been that way from them from conception to this point. So it's been a trial because we go through so many peaks and valleys. We've gone through so many peaks and valleys over the years, and both parents have to agree, period. And you go through stages where it's like no medication, and you think it's getting better, and then it takes a turn, a really bad turn, and then one parent is like, "Oh goodness, okay, medication." And then you set the appointment and no medication. So it's been something else, but at the same time, you have to say to yourself, "Do I want my child to suffer or do I want to give my child some peace?" And I was dealing with a child, he may not even sleep. It's just that bad. So he may not sleep. We've been to children's sleep clinic. We had the melatonin. He ate it like candy. Yum, 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 mommy, give me more. And he still didn't sleep. So I didn't know it was a problem, of course, because I stayed pregnant for so long and I was pregnant during the time he was a toddler. So I would just stay up with him. But as he gets into school and I have to work, I started realizing, no, we can't all stay up. This is not going to work. I can't just treat him like a newborn and stay up with
Yeah,
him until he
right.
falls asleep. So it's been a really rocky journey. We finally decided at some point when he was no longer attending school in person because of the situations that we were going through, that we had to try something. He was suffering and we had to do something. We tried stimulants. Again, did not work, unfortunately. And I had to come to the conclusion of then we shouldn't have stimulants. If they're not going to work, why would you put this in your body? Something that I had to show my ID when I went to the pharmacy to get it. It can be addictive. I mean, just go.
Right. Yeah.
Clearly, he's not gonna get addicted to it but
Mhm.
he's always been like that. I knew that even when I decided to try it, I thought to myself, "I'm not sure this is gonna work." This is the same child who antibiotics wouldn't work for.
Wow.
So, I don't know a lot about the science of neurodivergent people or children in general,
Huh.
but some people must have an immune system that is just different. And so I knew he was very tolerant of anything you give him, and it just didn't work. And we tried and just trying to give him relief and trying to get him back into the school system, but he couldn't go back in the state that he was in. It wasn't good for anybody, wasn't good for
Right.
us, wasn't
Right.
good for him. It was creating low self-esteem in him. He had a safety plan at school because of these issues and we upped the dosage and it was bad. So, and I was standing at the pharmacy like, I need this. Where is it's not working anyway, but it became like a placebo. Whereas, if we give it to him, maybe it could kind of trick the brain just by taking the pill. And so when we found out it wasn't working, it worked for like a week, maybe. I kept a journal and it just started decreasing. It would work 12 hours, it would work 8 hours, 10 hours, 8 hours until it just seemed like it had no effect at all. So we went to something that wasn't a stimulant. You didn't need your ID to get it. It was just something to help the brain in a completely different way. And no, that's not working either. Not in a difference where you can see it, where you can see that it's really helping him from stimming or helping him from flickering. I don't think anything is going to help from that because that's the autism part, but the ADHD part. So we're still on a journey, but we just decided. So that's why I can talk to parents and not judge them
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
because we tried the stimulant and it just wasn't working
Yeah.
for us. So now we're going to a more natural type
Hmm. Yeah.
medication, still medication, but it's nothing that's a controlled substance of any kind.
Right.
And that's really not working either. So we're doing med checks. We're like I said, I'm not at the end of this. We still have to go to med checks for him to even get a prescription. And we have to
Right.
check in with the clinician and say, how's it going? And they've made some recommendations that we weren't thrilled about, antidepressants. And, they can only tell you what they know. And they say, well,
Right.
children that this doesn't work for, we found that antidepressants work for them,
Yeah.
So we're still going through it. We just decided that stimulants,
Well, if they don't work, they don't work.
yeah, why do it? Why do it?
Right. because medications have side effects. So,
Exactly, exactly. So, but I don't judge anybody else because we felt we couldn't keep him out of school, and we're still going through trying to
uh-huh.
get him occupational therapy
Okay.
and different things like that. So we're still in the stages of the beginning stages, really,
Okay.
really very new.
Yes. Let's move on because I want to ask you a few questions about immune compromised kids and family stress. So, Dr. D, for parents raising immune compromised kids or the children with chronic health problems, the stress can be overwhelming. And I think you're describing that stress very well for us. What have you observed in working with other families?
It's difficult. I'll tell you by saying this. We reached out to a company who will come to the childcare center and be a one-on-one for children who are experiencing chronic issues with health. And I can't say I'm not a doctor. I can't say it's directly related to their diagnosis, but clearly it's something. And it is stressful. Some parents, I don't even know how they're working because of the stress. One mother, she works from home. I found out she works from home. Her child is completely nonverbal. He uses a tablet to communicate. So
Okay.
he can push a button and communicate. And it's difficult. She's trying to get him to be able to stay at the center all day now, and
Uh-huh.
even without a one-on-one. So they want their child to be like any other child that we have in the
Yeah.
center, who they're able to drop people are able to drop them off, families can drop them off, and they just stay here and pick them up, and that's not always the case. So, I have to support those families in a very gentle way and let them know that right now we can't allow the child to just be here, roam around, and because the teacher can't keep an eye on him with 15 or 10 other children, you know?
Yeah.
And so I just suggest little things to inch them into it. But it's anxiety. That same child stayed out for months with immune system issues. And like I said, I'm not sure if it's directly related because research is still being done
Yeah.
on
Oh,
neurodivergent
no.
children
Yes.
as far as allergies, immune system, and all of that. So I don't know if it's related or not, but I know that a lot of children with those issues have sensory issues, even
Yeah.
with food. And I know that from personal experience. I didn't know at the time. I just thought my child was just being a child and
Right.
saying that I knew he was different than my other children, but I just accepted him the way that he was. So
Mhm.
when he said he didn't like chicken and he just ate chicken, I didn't know. Maybe it was the way it was prepared. So you got to deal with nutrients,
Right. Right. Yeah.
things
Especially the
going on in the
kids.
body, and
Yeah.
then them getting sick,
Right.
because they may not be getting the nutrients that they need because they're not eating what you're preparing because you're not preparing it in a way that they're willing to eat it.
Okay. So next. Okay. So, Dr. D, how important is supporting the parents' emotional wellness while caring for a child with these needs? I think I think the implication is there that we need to do it.
Absolutely, because if you're not supporting the parents' wellness, their mental health, then it can become very chaotic in that they're offended. Um,
Yeah.
but I understand it because I never was offended. I just didn't understand what they were saying when they were trying to tell me my child had something. I'm like, he's already wearing braces. Now you're telling me he has this too? Oh my goodness, it was a lot. So you have to be very gentle because a lot of the times they take offense if you're saying that the child isn't doing something or they are doing something and it's contrary to what the other children are doing. So their emotional well-being is very important, and just coming to them with maybe ideas and not expecting them to provide all the ideas. They don't have a lot of ideas. They're overwhelmed. That's why they're taking offense. If they had things that they could offer the staff, they would have offered those things,
Yeah.
but they don't.
Right. And how would you give encouragement to these parents?
Letting them know that it's a process. It's not going to be handled overnight. You
Mhm.
know, if we say something that could help them accept that, and if they feel like they can't use it, then, they don't use it. But we're just trying to help them through this as best we can, and we realize that it's not one thing that we can do or they can do to change it. And I believe in differentiated instruction, not because something is wrong with you, but because we're all different. And I just approach it in that way.
Great. So, just in general, how do you feel that we can begin creating healthier futures for our children? I mean, you've gone over a lot of stuff already.
Yes. Talking about self-regulation, um, self-control, talking about mindfulness and dealing with their children, um, letting them know some good, healthy options in place of unhealthy options for their children.
Great.
Um, the pumpkin seeds, if they're not allergic to that, the um,
How about
sunflower.
letting them know it's not going to be more expensive? Because I think a lot of people are concerned that eating healthier is going to be more expensive.
And that's a valid concern. However, with us planting the garden, we plan on giving many of the parents, these foods to take home. And of course, if you establish a garden, which it does take money, time, effort, and energy, at the beginning, I mean, those are things that maybe you don't have to go to the store and pay for. So, and then we have options here. We've elected to have weekend meals for our families. It's an option for us. Every option comes with accountability. So it's not easy to take all the options, but we do take the option of having weekend meals. And in those weekend meals, there are cereal packets with very low grams of sugar, sunflower seeds, fruit, um, crisp like the apple, air dried, fruit options. So there are different options in there. Parents, they don't have to buy it. They just need to use it. And even if they have the money to go out and buy other things, you know, turn your children on to better options.
Yeah, that's amazing. Um, I think in the future you should develop a whole program so other communities can replicate what you're doing, because I think this is amazing. One last question. What gives you hope when you look at the future of child wellness and family support? How do you feel hopeful about this?
I feel hopeful through avenues such as this podcast because, sometimes we do things and it's not intentional. It's just a teachable moment. But this makes it intentional for me. So that's the hope that I feel that other people will listen to this podcast and be more intentional about how they go about serving their children and helping other people help their children is just intentionality about it. Because when I was in the classroom, there's something called teachable moments. And we were taught those teachable moments are great. Never let them pass you by. But intentional teaching is better. It's planned, it's executed through steps, and you sit and you evaluate how that intentional teaching took place and what you can do to make it better. So I like the teachable moments, but I'm more concerned about intentional teaching and parenting and learning about how that can help the child. So these types of platforms, wonderful. It gets you to thinking. It helps you be mindful of your choices in life and how you go about talking to parents and children.
This has been such a meaningful conversation, Dr. D, and I want to thank you for sharing both your insight, your heart for children and families, and your personal experiences. And I think that many parents who are listening today will feel encouraged knowing that holistic wellness doesn't have to mean you're perfect. It means support, it means balance, it means healthier environments, and most importantly, one step at a time. Where can listeners learn more about your work and connect with Peacox Learning Solutions and Peacox Childcare?
PeacoxHelpingHands.org. That's your first step. That's where we're starting our big community garden. And that's where we talk about health, wellness, and recovery and resiliency. If we could teach our children resiliency, and the best place they learn resiliency is from seeing us be resilient in the face of adversity. So peacoxhelpinghands.org, you can see what we do.
Thank you so much. It will be on the screen as well. And I'd like to say, if you enjoyed this episode of The Wellness Edit, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the podcast with someone who may need some encouragement today. And remember that supporting healthy children begins with supporting the whole child emotionally, physically, and mentally. Thank you.